The sun changed color. It happened at 4:17 a.m. UTC. A small team of solar scientists in Chile was the first to notice it. The outer rim of the sun, usually a bright golden hue, had turned dull red, almost like it was bleeding. At first, they thought it was an error in their equipment, but when the same images came from satellites, telescopes in Australia, space stations, and even the Lunar Observatory, panic started. The sun was being drained. Commander Ria Lawson stood at the edge of the crumbling runway at Vandenberg Space Base. The heat in the air didn't come from the sun, it came from fear. She hadn't worn the uniform in 7 years, not since she left the military after the Titan Protocol crisis, but now Earth needed her again, and this time, the enemy wasn't hiding in shadows, it was in the sky, right above them. "Ma'am," said Colonel Estevez, approaching quickly, "you need to see this. The alien ships have deployed more siphon towers, 3 more near Mercury orbit." "Siphons?" Lawson asked. "Yes, they're not attacking Earth directly. They're attacking the sun, sucking it dry." She stared up at the sky. It still looked bright, but everyone knew the truth. The solar output had dropped by 8% in 2 days. Earth's power grids were crashing. Plants were dying. Temperatures had dropped sharply overnight in Europe, and no one knew how to stop it. 3 days earlier, the first signal came from deep space. It was not a warning. It was a declaration. This star is now under the rule of the Zorkith Dominion. Any resistance will result in the cleansing of your species. No negotiation, no terms, just a cold message broadcast across every satellite and channel. Within hours, enormous black structures appeared in orbit around the sun. They weren't ships, they were machines, connected by massive arms, pumping and feeding off the star's energy. They had begun constructing a solar siphon, ring, layer by layer. Earth's early attempts to destroy one of the siphons failed. 2 unmanned missiles never reached their target, shot down by automated defense. Arrays far beyond Earth's reach. No alien ships came to Earth. No troops landed. The Zorkith didn't need to conquer the planet. They were simply killing the sun. And when the sun dies, Earth dies. Lawson walked into the strategy room, where a large projection of the sun glowed on the wall. Red spots flickered. Siphon locations were marked in dark green. There were now 12 active towers, slowly wrapping around the star like thorns on a dying rose. "What's our time left?" she asked. Dr. Sandy Bora, a solar physicist, stepped forward. His face was pale. "If the current energy drain continues, we lose total grid control in 5 days. Crops begin dying within 2, and within 3 weeks, mass extinction." Lawson finished. "Yes," he whispered. She looked around the room. Half the people here weren't soldiers. They were scientists, engineers, and even old astronauts. Earth's armies were no match for alien tech, but maybe brains could do what missiles couldn't. "What about the Apollo Echo?" she asked suddenly. Silenced on. Then a voice from the corner, an older man in a worn spacesuit, spoke. "You still remember that? I was on the backup team," Lawson said. "We discovered a deep solar anomaly back in the 2080s. Readings that didn't make sense. A magnetic hole near the sun's core, but we never got to finish the mission." "We thought it was a natural pocket," the man said. "But if these Zorkith are targeting our sun, maybe they know something we don't." Lawson nodded. "Or maybe we know something they missed. The UN activated Operation Helios Strike that night that they had one chance. Launch Earth's last functioning deep space warship, the Prometheus V, to investigate the anomaly near the sun's core. The goal was not to fight. It was to find out why the Zorkith chose this star and what they were afraid of hiding beneath its surface. Because maybe, just maybe, the sun wasn't only a star, maybe it was a vault. The Prometheus V was old, but still fast. Built during the Martian Uprising War, it was equipped with heat shields, anti-radiation armor, and a Class VAI named Siren. It launched from Earth's high orbit just before dawn. Commander Lawson was on board. As the ship pulled away from Earth's orbit and moved toward the burning sun, silence filled the command bridge. "Bring up long-range visual," Lawson ordered. The screen blinked on. What they saw made the entire crew gasp. That there was a city around the sun, that it wasn't a city in the human sense, but a massive alien construct, orbiting in pieces, dark towers connected by glowing cables, machines crawling like ants over burning plasma. One structure resembled a throne. Floating in the corona. In the center of it all was the primary siphon, nearly 300 kilometers wide, digging into the sun's surface like a straw-piercing fruit. Lawson's fists clenched. "This is not just energy theft," she said. "This is a religious ceremony, a conquest." An alarm went off. "Siren, report," Lawson shouted. "Warning, Zorkith defense beacon Detected. 2 interceptor drones inbound. We're not here to fight, said one of the pilots. We don't have a choice, Lawson replied. The ship shifted course, diving low into the solar plasma stream. Heat warnings screamed. Hull plating began to melt. But it worked. Interceptors couldn't follow. And then they saw it. Beneath the chaotic swirl of solar storms, tucked behind an unstable magnetic fold, was something glowing. But not naturally. It pulsed with shape, symmetry, technology. Is that a construct? Someone whispered. No, Lawson said slowly. That's a chamber, a buried chamber. Inside the sun. The crew scanned it. It was made of an unknown alloy, far beyond human tech. But its design wasn't Zorkith. This wasn't made by them, Dr. Vora said. Then who? There was a long pause. Then the ship's AI spoke in a strange tone, confirmed. Matched symbols found in ancient Mars vaults. Civilizational signature. Auralith. Lawson's heart skipped. The Auralith, a race spoken about only in whispers, in deep unclassified files. Thought to be long-dead star builders, vault makers. Set a drone inside the chamber, she said. The drone launched. It slipped through a crack in the side of the glowing chamber. Seconds later, the video feed came. Online. It showed a long metallic hall lined with solar mirrors, humming with energy. And at the end, a pedestal. On it sat a strange device like a crystal engine, half live, glowing with a heartbeat. The drone scanned it. Device classified as solar core ignition matrix. Possible use. Localized stellar manipulation. Possibly weaponized. Requires human biometrics. The room went cold. Lawson stared. Are you saying that thing can control the sun? Yes, but only with human input. For a moment, no one moved. Then Lawson said what everyone was thinking. The Zorkith don't just want the sun for power. They're afraid of what's inside it. A long silence followed. Prepare for Eva, I'm going in. The Prometheus V was diving straight into fire. Behind them, Earth was dying. Ahead of them, something impossible was hidden inside the sun. And now the Zorkith knew the humans had found it. The outer hull of the Prometheus V groaned as it plunged deeper into the sun's corona. Superheated plasma swirled outside, burning at over 1,000,000 degrees Celsius. Even with the ship's enhanced shielding, every second felt like crawling through fire. Commander Rhea Lawson stood on the bridge, her hands gripping the edge of the command table. How long until we reach the ignition chamber? She asked. Dr. Vora's voice trembled. 12 minutes, if the shielding holds. But we've got another problem. He pointed at the scanner feed. To Zorkith interceptor. Drones had changed course. They were hunting the Prometheus V. And they were fast. The ship's AI siren spoke calmly. Zorkith weapons locked. Time to engagement. 200 seconds. Suggested course of action. Evasive dive into magnetic turbulence layer. Take us in. Lawson ordered. The ship banked sharply, cutting through a spiral of solar winds and magnetic storms. On-screen visibility dropped to nearly zero. The interceptors lost tracking for a few seconds, but then reappeared, angrier than before. Adapting, whispered Pilot Bren. We just need 10 minutes, Lawson said. Get me to the chamber. Meanwhile, the feed from the solar chamber continued. The drone had reached the strange pedestal inside the glowing chamber. The device, the solar core ignition matrix, was unlike anything seen before. It floated, slightly above the pedestal, humming like a living heart. Biometrics required. Human interface detected. Awaiting key. Lawson knew what it meant. This ancient device could control the sun, direct its flares, trigger focused explosions. It was a weapon, disguised as a part of the star, and it was locked to human DNA. Not the Zorkith S, not anyone else's, just Earthborn humans. And somehow the Zorkith had never known it was here. Until now. The ship shook violently, port shields failing. Someone shouted. Lawson didn't hesitate. She grabbed her helmet, sealed her suit, and sprinted for the airlock. Commander, you can't. I have to, she said. I'm the only one the chamber responds to. She launched from the side of the Prometheus 5, straight into the furnace of the sun. Her suit was made of ultra-reflective solar armor, experimental tech that could survive a few minutes at this depth. Her oxygen tank was limited. Her time was short. Inside her helmet, the AI guided her. Vector locked. Distance to chamber, 400 meters. The space around her glowed blinding orange. Particles swirled like fireflies. She used her thrusters to push through, heart pounding. If her suit failed now, she would vaporize instantly. But she didn't stop. She reached the chamber wall and slipped. Inside, through the crack the drone had found earlier, the temperature dropped. The moment she entered, it was still hot, but not destructive. The walls were lined with solar mirrors and conduits glowing with alien runes. The ignition matrix pulsed ahead of her, floating above its pedestal like it had been waiting. She approached. The matrix responded instantly. It unfolded like a blooming flower, revealing a core of burning crystal. A beam of light scanned her face, then her hand. Biometrics confirmed. Solar command access granted. Back on the ship, the Zorkith drones had caught up. The Prometheus V took a direct hit to the rear thrusters. One engine was gone. "We've got to go," shouted Bren. "We won't last another minute." But just then, the sun itself began to glow brighter. From the surface below, a thin beam of energy erupted. It didn't target Earth. It didn't aim at any ship. It sliced upward and hit one of the Zorkith drones mid-flight. The alien craft was cut in half, vaporized by solar precision. The second drone turned immediately and fled. Everyone on the bridge stared at the screen. In silence. "Was that us?" someone whispered. Bren turned to Dr. Vora. "What did she do?" Vora was frozen. "She just fired the sun like a cannon." Inside the chamber, Lawson was still holding the matrix. It pulsed again. New symbols lit up on the walls, and a deep voice, not from the AI, not from any human system, echoed softly. "Solar Guardian, interface activated. Defense Protocol 1 initiated. Awaiting command, burn or beacon." She whispered, "What's beacon?" A map appeared in her helmet visor. It showed the entire Zorkith fleet. Hundreds of ships, now moving toward Earth's sun. She understood instantly. They had seen the solar weapon. They were coming to either capture it or destroy it, and Earth only had hours left. Lawson returned to the ship, silent and calm. Her suit was scarred. Her hands were shaking, but her eyes burned with fire. "We have a weapon," she said, "and they're afraid of it. Can we use it again?" Vora asked. "Yes," she said, "but it's more than that. The Matrix can do more than fire beams. It can heat regions of the sun. It can control flare patterns. It can even trigger solar novas on command." The bridge crew exchanged looks of awe and terror. "Then we have to use it," Bren said. Lawson shook her head. "Not yet." She turned toward the display, watching the Zorkith fleet approach. "They think they're marching toward our death, but we're going to turn the sun into a trap." Everyone listened as she gave the order. "Prep the ship. Begin solar relocation maneuvers. Get Earth's remaining satellites ready to bounce false signals." Vora stepped forward. "Are you suggesting?" "Yes," she said. "We let them come, and then," she smiled, "we burn them all. No light, no radar, only fire and death." In the burning chaos near the sun, Earth's last warship faced the Zorkith, and in that moment, the fire started whispering back. The Prometheus V floated just above the sun's corona, cloaked in electromagnetic noise and turbulent solar wind. Every screen on the bridge flickered with static. Radar was useless. Communications were down. Commander Rhea Lawson stood in the dim red light of the ship's control deck. "We're officially blind," said Pilot Bren, heat scrambling everything. Dr. Vora stared at his console. "We're inside a solar turbulence belt. No radio, no AI uplink, no long-range scans. It's like being trapped in an oven, with the lights off. And something else is in here with us," Lawson said. The Zorkith fleet had entered the inner system. The alien vessels, shaped like dark crescent blades, moved fast, even through solar storms. They weren't designed for stealth or beauty. They were machines of harvest and death. But this time, they didn't expect resistance. They thought humanity would hide, or run. They didn't know Earth's last warship had already made the sun itself a weapon. Commander Bren said, "We've got an unknown structure drifting off our port side. Metal hull, human design, but it's old." Lawson leaned over on screen. Through the plasma haze, they saw ETA-damaged spacecraft, half-melted, floating near the solar surface. Fused into its hull were strange glowing wires, like it had been partially consumed by something not human. "Name tag visible," said Bren. "Registry USSF Argonaut. Lost during the Ether Sun probe mission 2084. "That mission was never made public," Vora said. "They said it burned up on entry." "Apparently not," Lawson muttered. "They sent a drone to the wreck. It moved slowly, shielding itself from plasma bursts. It entered through a breach in the ship's side. The interior was black, scorched, but not empty. Human bodies floated inside, some in suits, some without, all of them long dead, except one." The drone's camera showed a sealed cryopod still, active, glowing, faint green. Inside was a man in his 60s. Breathing slowly, Vora whispered, "Impossible. That pod shouldn't last more than 10 years. Lawson stared at the feed. "Bring him aboard." The cryopod was retrieved and docked in the medical bay. As it opened, warm mist hissed into the air. The man's eyes fluttered open. He gasped, coughing. His skin was pale, but somehow untouched by time. Name? Lawson asked. He looked at her with tired eyes. Captain Marcus Rain, Argonaut. Year? What year is it? 2032. Vora answered. You've been in there for 48 years. He blinked slowly, then sat up. I should be dead, Lawson asked. The question on everyone's mind, how did your ship survive this deep into the sun? Rain looked at the ceiling, then he spoke one word. According to Rain, the Argonaut had followed unusual magnetic signals decades ago, signals coming from the sun's heart. They found a door in the plasma, a gate into something that was half star, half machine. We thought it was natural at first, he said, but then it started whispering. Whispering? Lawson asked. Data, he said, not sound messages. Like the sun was talking, we didn't understand it. He paused. But they did. The Zorkith. They arrived. While we were inside, killed half my crew, tried to take the chamber, but the star pushed back. Lawson leaned in. You're saying the sun rejected them? Rain nodded. They couldn't control the core. Whatever tech the Auralith left in there, it responds. To us, not them. Vora looked at Lawson. We now have confirmation. The sun holds ancient defense systems, weapons only humans can access. And the Zorkith just stepped into our trap. She replied. Suddenly an explosion rocked the ship. Lights flashed red. Sirens screamed. Alert. Hull breach. Deck 4. Inbound plasma torpedo detected. One of the Zorkith ships had found them. How the hell did they see us? Shouted Bryn. They didn't, Rain said calmly. They felt us. These ships hunt by heat pattern and magnetic disruption. Not light. Then we're flying blind against predators, Lawson said. Another warning lit up. Multiple energy signatures approaching fast. Prep for engagement, she ordered. This will be close range. Inside the fire, the Prometheus V deployed solar-charged flak bursts, creating clouds of plasma to hide its movement. They ducked low into the solar flow, dodging magnetic eruptions. The Zorkith interceptors followed, firing searing plasma beams that curved through gravity and heat. Human gunners returned fire blindly using heat pulses, not targeting computers. The battle became chaos. Ships twisting through fire, beams cutting through shadows, missiles detonating with sunflower shockwaves. No one could see, no one could hear, only feel that it was the most dangerous kind of battle, the fire-blind skirmish. Then something strange happened. One of the enemy ships began shaking. Its shields collapsed, and then the sun pulled it in. Not a flare, not gravity. Something controlled, reached out from the star itself and crushed the vessel like a hand closing on paper. The Prometheus sensors caught a faint pulse. Command echo detected. Solar core defense acknowledged. The Auralith systems were still alive, and now they were helping. Lawson gave the order. Engage solar core link. Direct override. Prepare to burn them. The ignition matrix activated. She could feel it in her bones, heat and electricity pulsing through the command interface. On the screen, a Zorkith battlecruiser moved into range. Lawson whispered. Fire. A beam of pure solar fire erupted upward. It pierced the darkness like a sword of light. It hit the Zorkith cruiser. The ship melted, screaming as its hull turned to liquid in space. The remaining enemies broke formation and fled, vanishing into the deeper solar shadows. Silence returned. On the bridge, no one spoke for a full minute. They had just won a battle inside. The sun. Lawson turned to Rain. We're not just defending Earth anymore, she said. We're defending something far older. Something ours. He nodded. And the Zor are going to come back with everything they've got. Lawson looked at the map. They don't know what's waiting for them. She placed her hand on the matrix. Let's show them what it means to challenge the sun. Inside the sun, hidden for thousands of years, was a city made of light and silence. Not Zorkith, not human, but something older. And it had just opened its gates for Commander Lawson. The Prometheus V drifted lower into the sun's corona, now shielded by the very Auralith technology it had awakened. No more Zorkith attacks, no missiles, no hunters, just silence, and something glowing ahead. Commander Rhea Lawson stood at the front viewport staring at it. She wasn't imagining it. No one was. There was a structure embedded within the sun's fire, massive, geometric, alive with slow pulses of golden light. Dr. Vora adjusted his visor. That's not a station, it's a city. They called it Etherin. Long, sharp towers rose from the solar plasma like ancient temples. Everything shimmered with reflective panels, glowing veins, and soft hums of energy. The city was half submerged in the sun's flow, protected by a massive field that bent the fire around it. Pilot Bren flew the ship closer. "This is like flying into a god's brain," he whispered. Lawson nodded. "Or its heart." Docking was strange. The city didn't use doors or landing pads. Instead, the sun's plasma itself parted like it recognized them. A tunnel formed through the fire, leading to a platform that shimmered with blue light. As the team stepped out in full radiation armor, the heat sensors inside their suits dropped. The platform was cool, safe, designed for human biology. The city had expected them. Inside Etherin, everything was quiet, eerily quiet. Hallways of living metal shifted softly as they walked. Lights activated in their presence. Ancient machines stirred awake. The walls had no language, just symbols, spirals, suns within stars. Eyes made a flame. And then they found it. A room like a cathedral, with a crystal interface at its center. Floating above it was a hologram of a star system, Earth's solar system, and around it, blinking red markers, dozens of them. Bren zoomed in. "Those are Zorkith ships." Lawson stepped forward. "This thing is tracking them." Dr. Vora touched the interface. It responded to his fingers, shifting the map. He tapped Earth. A wave of symbols glowed across the room. Then a voice, not human, not alien, but clear and ancient, spoke in their minds. "Children of Flame, you have returned." Everyone froze. The voice continued, calm but heavy. "This system was seeded with Auralith fire. Your kind carries our code, and now you face the ones who tried to steal the sun." Lawson spoke, unsure if it could hear her. "Are you the Auralith? We are what remains, echoes, machines of light. Our kind fell long before your rise, but we left guardians." Yuvora looked stunned. "You're saying humans were chosen, shaped, watched, forged by solar fire. When the time came, you would either burn or blaze." The voice showed them a memory. A projection of stars filled the room. In the vision, the Zorketh appeared, huge fleets, dark machines. They were devourers feeding on stars, draining systems. The Auralith had fought them, failed, but before their end, the Auralith hid pieces of their technology in stars. In fire, in the one place the Zorketh would fear to look, and Earth's sun had been chosen as the final vault. A seed of power, and a test. The hologram changed again. Now it showed the solar core ignition matrix, but it wasn't alone. There were 3 more pieces, called solar relays, scattered in the inner layers of the star. Together, they could form a network capable of turning the entire sun into a thinking defense grid. But there was a warning. Control brings power, but power brings pressure. Only one of flame and will can hold the core. Lawson looked at her hand. She remembered how the matrix reacted to her. It hadn't just unlocked, it had merged with her. "What happens if I activate all 3? You will become its voice, but the cost will be heat. You will carry the sun inside you." Back on the Prometheus V, sensors picked up movement. The Zorkith fleet had arrived at the edge of the solar corona, massive cruisers, harvesters, and what looked like a central command vessel, 3 times the size of Earth's moon. "They're preparing to enter the sun," said Bren. "They want Etherin," Lawson said. "They finally understand it's not just a power source, it's the one thing that can stop them." Vora looked at her. "So what now?" She turned to the glowing city. "We finished the job." The team split. Lawson and Rain went for the first solar relay. Deep inside the magnetic equator, Vora and Bren were assigned to map and recover the other 2. The moment Lawson placed her hand on the first relay, it activated. Fire coursed through her veins. The sun trembled. She felt something new, not pain, but a connection, a slow heartbeat, pulsing in solar rhythm. And somewhere deep inside the sun, the Zorkith felt it too. They accelerated. The race had begun. Etherin's last message echoed in her mind. "You are now starborn, let them come, and show them what burns." The Zorkith thought humans had no weapons left. They thought Earth's sun was theirs. But then, the star answered, and its first words were fire. The Prometheus V held position near the burning platform outside Etherin. Inside the ship, Commander Rhea Lawson stood alone in the solar chamber. The first solar relay she had activated was now humming within her bones. Her veins pulsed with energy she couldn't fully understand, but it wasn't just power, it was memory. The sun remembered that now it was starting to speak through her. "Commander," said Dr. Vora over the intercom, "Zorkith main fleet has begun descent. 2 carrier-class ships, 15 cruisers, and what looks like a central hive structure. They're entering Corona layer. They're trying to box us in," said Pilot Bren. "Standard harvest procedure. Close the orbit, drain the fire, kill everything inside." Lawson opened her eyes. They were glowing faintly. Not this time. She placed her hand back onto the solar ignition matrix. Instantly, the air around her vibrated. The matrix responded to her touch, now not as a user, but as a host. Siren, the ship's AI, chimed in. Ignition link active. Solar weapons array charging. Targeting systems available. Manual override confirmed. Lawson, Rhea, bring up the primary cruiser, she said. The screen zoomed in. One of the lead Zorkith ships, shaped like a crescent dagger, glided through solar waves, its harvest arms already extended. Lawson's voice was calm. Fire. The sun blinked. For a split second. Its light dimmed and exploded. A beam of solar plasma, so thin it was nearly invisible, sliced upward like a sniper shot. It hit the Zorkith cruiser midsection. There was no explosion, no sound, just disintegration. The alien ship tore in half, then the halves melted, then even the metal ash vanished into fire. On the Prometheus V, the crew went silent. Dr. Vora whispered, "That wasn't a laser. That was a solar lance. Focused through magnetic resonance. That's impossible physics." "No," Lawson said. "It's ancient physics." The Zorkith fleet hesitated. Their formations slowed. Ships drifted just outside the blast zone. But then the massive hive vessel moved forward. It wasn't afraid. It launched smaller drone pods into the sun, thousands of them, like black wasps swarming into fire. Lawson's chest tightened. "They're testing our range," she said. "Trying to find the Matrix's limits." Bren leaned in. "They'll keep coming until it overloads." Lawson stepped back from the console. "Then we don't just shoot them, we trap them." Etheron's deep systems activated. The solar city itself began to shift. Massive rings around the Matrix chamber began spinning. Light bled from the walls. The relay she had touched earlier began pulsing faster, and the sun's surface above Etheron shimmered like it was waking up. Siren's voice cracked through the silence. "Warning, Sunflare channeling mode engaged. Local star pressure rising. Solar memory accessing historic defense pattern." The roar, Vora repeated. "That sounds dangerous." "It is," said Rain from the corner, still weak from cryo. "They used it to wipe out fleets." Lawson nodded. "How do we activate it?" "You don't," he said. "You become it." As the second solar relay came online, the power surged through her body again. Lawson's mind wasn't just controlling the Matrix anymore. She was starting to feel the star's instincts. Anger, awareness, protection. The Zorkith weren't just invaders. To the sun, they were infection, and it was preparing a fever to burn them out. Outside, the black swarm of Zorkith drones dove toward Etheron, but they didn't get close. The sun pulsed, not with heat but with frequency. A shockwave of solar rhythm erupted, invisible to the eye but deadly to alien machines. Every drone simply froze mid-flight, then they cracked, then shattered, and then they were gone. Inside the command chamber, Lawson collapsed to one knee. Her skin was steaming inside the suit. Dr. Vora rushed to her. "You're burning up. You can't keep this up." "I'm fine," she gasped. "No, you're not. You're sinking too fast. The Matrix is rewriting your nervous system. You're becoming something else." Lawson looked at him, her voice soft but firm, then let it. The hive ship moved into high orbit. It stopped just above the solar flow, protected by its thick armor and layered fields. It began to speak, not in words, in pulses. The Prometheus V translated, "This system was warned. This fire is claimed. Yield and be allowed to survive." Lawson stood again. "No," she said. "This fire was never yours." She stepped forward, connected fully now, all three. Relays pulsed in harmony. The Matrix glowed white. Siren issued a final warning. "Activation of Solar Defense Protocol, raw mode. All nearby ships will be affected. Radiation surge expected. Evacuation advised." "Send the message," she said. "To who?" Vora asked. "To the Zorkith." Bren tapped the console. "Channel open." Lawson leaned forward, eyes glowing. "This is Commander Rhea Lawson of Earth. You came for our sun. You tried to starve our world. You thought we were weak." She paused. "But you forgot one thing." She raised her hand toward the Matrix. "This sun has teeth." The surface of the star opened. Flames twisted. Flares spiraled. The solar corona screamed with light, and then it unleashed. The roar. A wave of solar fury exploded outward, blinding white and golden light, stretching millions of kilometers wide. It hit the Zorkith hive ship for 1 second. It held. And then, it cracked, folded inward, and was consumed in deep space. Outside the system, listening probes from 4 alien empires detected the event. They marked it with one word: unnatural. Back on the Prometheus V, the light faded. Return. Lawson collapsed into Vora's arms. Her heartbeat was slow, but still there, and from somewhere inside the matrix chamber, Etherin spoke once more. One remains. The final key. The mind of flame. Vora looked at the display. One more relay. Rain nodded grimly. No, this one is different. The others give power. He stared at the flickering star. This one gives control. Earth's sun wasn't just a star anymore. It had a voice. It had defenses. And now, thanks to one human, it was about to set a trap for the galaxy's deadliest invaders. The Prometheus V floated just above the burning layer of the solar surface. Every panel glowed with reflected fire. Every crew member was tense. Below them, the Orolith city of Etherin continued to pulse. Its lights had changed now, flickering between orange and white. The sun was waking up, and it was angry. Rhea Lawson lay in the medbay, covered in a cooling gel suit. Her body temperature had dropped only slightly. Her eyes still glowed golden, faintly flickering like candlelight. She's barely human anymore, said Dr. Vora. She's tied into 3 solar relays. No one should be able to carry that much raw star data in their brain. She's still in there, Rain said. I've seen worse. You've seen worse than someone turning into a solar AI hybrid. Rain stared through the med glass. I've seen people forget who they are. She hasn't. Just then, the sun pulsed. Again. And Lawson opened her eyes. She sat up slowly, breathing calmly like the sun itself was inside her lungs. What happened? She asked softly. Vora answered. You unleashed the roar, wiped the hive ship out. The remaining Zorkith ships have pulled back, but only for now. She looked around. No one died. Not a single human. Rain confirmed. Your control was perfect. She nodded. I felt it. The flares listened. Lawson stood. Her voice was stronger now, and calm like fire under glass. There's one relay left. The core key. Vora stepped closer. The Orolith called it the mind of flame. Said it doesn't just boost firepower, it gives you control over everything. Everything, she asked. Magnetic field manipulation, gravity flow, even controlled nova-level pulses. Rain added. But it comes with a price. You sync with it, there's no turning back. You become part of the sun. Lawson looked at the burning screen. The Zorkith weren't fleeing, they were waiting, reorganizing. No, she said. They've realized the truth. That we've taken their prize. They're going to return in full force. Vora's voice cracked. The full fleet. Lawson nodded. They'll send everything they have. So we trap them, Rain said. Just like the Orolith planned. He walked to the navigation console and brought up the Etherin map. A conflagration hidden in the relay system. If you align all 4 and activate the core key, the sun will enter Guardian mode. Guardian mode? Vora asked. Lawson stepped forward. I saw the pattern. It folds the magnetic field inward, lures the enemy deep, then locks the corona like a cage. Bren turned from the helm, and then we collapse the trap. Heat spikes, gravity twists, and the star detonates partially, not a supernova, just a localized controlled burst. She looked around. A trap that burns everything inside, but spares Earth. Siren confirmed. Guardian mode. Operational, but untested. Risk of cascade failure, 27%. Final relay required to stabilize inner layers. Manual activation mandatory. In other words, Rain said, someone has to go into the sun's core. Silence, Vora said at first. You'll die. Lawson didn't answer. She turned toward the hangar. The dive ship, Erebus, was ready. A single pilot vehicle, lined with solar-absorbent panels and Orolith shielding, built for one task, entering the core. Before launch, Lawson recorded a message. To Earth, if you hear this, we did it. They came for our sun, but they didn't know it had teeth, and that it remembers who it belongs to. The Erebus launched. The solar surface parted, as if the sun welcomed her. Down she went, through plasma rivers, through magnetic storms, through light that had never seen the void. At last she reached it. Solar core. It was not chaos, it was symmetry. Burning rings, flowing light, and at the center, floating in pure fire, the final relay, the core key. It didn't sit on a pedestal, it hovered in fire like a living thought. Lawson reached for it. Her hand burned instantly. Pain flooded her mind. But she kept reaching. And then everything stopped. She opened her eyes. She was standing not in fire but in a field of stars. A voice, calm, deep, full of heat, spoke to her. You are the last guardian. Your people are worthy. Do you offer yourself to the fire? She said nothing. She simply nodded. The sun accepted. The core key fused into her palm. Light rushed into her chest. Her veins turned white-hot from the Prometheus V. Siren announced. All 4 relays active. Guardian mode initiated. Trap phase begins. Above, in the upper orbit, the Zorkith fleet returned. Hundreds of ships, dark blades, cruisers, hive, reapers. They dove into the solar atmosphere like wolves smelling blood, but they didn't realize they were already inside the cage. Lawson rose from the core. She wasn't just human anymore, she was solar-born. She sent the signal. TRAP activation. Now, Ethereum pulsed. The sun's corona folded inward, gravity twisted, light curved. The Zorkith fleet tried to flee, engines flared, drones swarmed, but it was too late. The Guardian trap snapped shut, and then the sun exploded, not outward, inward. The fire collapsed on itself. Just for a moment, then unleashed a burning shockwave right at the center of the trap. The enemy fleet vanished. Every ship, every drone, every trace gone. And in the middle of the firestorm, Lawson stood unburned, unshaken, glowing with the light of a new sun. She should have died inside the sun. But now Commander Lawson speaks with a voice that isn't hers. A voice made of fire. And every star in the nearby systems just heard it. The Zorkith fleet was gone. Not destroyed by missiles, not beaten in open space, but erased, burned out by a trap hidden in the heart of Earth's star. Now, where the armada once floated, there was only flame, and at the center of that flame stood a human woman, glowing like a second sun. Commander Rhea Lawson was no longer just human. She had become something else. On the Prometheus V, the crew stared at the viewscreen. Pilot Bren whispered, "We're still alive." Dr. Vora checked the instruments. The solar field collapsed, then reformed. Perfect symmetry. No damage to Earth. No impact on the inner planets. The sun reshaped itself. "Where's the commander?" asked Rain. Siren answered. "Tracking signal locked. Subject is standing inside the photosphere. Radiation normalizing. Vital signs stable." Bryn blinked. "She's walking inside the sun." The ship launched a recovery pod just in case. But before it even reached her, Lawson stepped onto the platform herself. Untouched, unburned, glowing faintly gold, she climbed aboard the Prometheus and walked straight to the bridge. Everyone stood as she entered. Vora whispered, "Commander." She smiled, but her eyes weren't just hers anymore. "I'm still here," she said softly, "but I'm not alone." In her mind, something pulsed. The sun was awake, not sentient like humans, but aware, responsive, ancient in a way that language couldn't describe. A stellar intelligence, older than Earth, finally activated by human DNA, by Auralith code, by will. It called itself the Forge. And now Lawson was its mouthpiece. She raised her hand. Light flickered from her fingertips. "I can hear it," she said. "The sun remembers everything, every flare, every storm, every orbit. It knows who came, who tried to claim it, who died." Rain leaned in. "You said it was aware. It's not alive like we are," Lawson explained. "But it's built to protect, built to choose." The Auralith didn't just hide power in the sun. They left behind a mind, a kind of solar guardian system. "And now it's bonded with you?" Vora asked. She nodded slowly. "I'm the final key." Just then, Siren alerted. Incoming signal detected. Origin, Tokrik's binary system. Source, non-human. Relay language. Ancient Auralith, pattern overlay. Lawson's eyes widened. "The Forge is broadcasting." "To who?" Bren asked. "Not to us," she said. "To other stars." They watched as flares rose and twisted into patterns. Signals made of solar rhythm, encoded pulses, bouncing between stars faster than any human signal could travel. It was a warning, a message from Earth's sun to all nearby star systems. The Zorkith came here. They failed. Earth is guarded. The Forge is active again. Dr. Vora whispered. "It's not just defending this system, it's talking to others." Rain's voice was cold. "We just told the galaxy, humanity has solar weapons." Lawson didn't deny it. "We've been mocked, feared, ignored. But now, every species will know we don't just light our star." She looked up. "We speak with it." Back on Earth, the message reached deep observatories. Astrophysicists saw impossible patterns in the sun. Old alien watchers at the edge of known space watched flares bend into language. Even the hidden empires in the dark between galaxies paused because now one sun had started talking, and it used a human voice, but peace didn't follow. New warnings came from Siren, long-range scan. Sweep detected. Origin Zorkith outer hives. Partial fleet movements seen near red dwarfs. Warp anchors forming. Lawson stared at the red dots blinking on the galactic map. "They're regrouping." Rain frowned. "We just killed a fleet," Lawson replied calmly. "They don't care. They'll come again, and this time they'll bring more than ships. Vora said what they were all thinking. They'll bring harvesters of stars. Lawson closed her eyes. The forge whispered to her again. There was one last secret, one last defense, buried in the core of the forge. System was a solar cedar particle of collapsed flame, not just a weapon, not even a trap, but a new sun waiting to be born. If this star falls, another may rise. She turned to her crew. The Zorkith don't stop, they consume. They don't fear death because they don't understand loss, Bren asked. Then what do we do? Lawson's voice was clear. We show them what happens when you burn a fire too long. She opened her palm. A golden spark hovered above it, a sliver of the forge's power. It pulsed once. The Prometheus V shook lightly. New symbols lit up across the control panel. A command protocol never seen before. Siren translated. Solar Forge class. Battleship evolution. Ready. Lawson looked up. We're not just defending anymore. She turned toward the viewport where the stars waited. We're going to take the fire to them. The galaxy had feared the Zorkith for thousands of years. They devoured stars, silenced civilizations. But they made one mistake. They tried to take our sun, and now, humanity was no longer holding back. Commander Rhea Lawson stood on the bridge of the Prometheus V, staring into space. But she wasn't seeing stars. She was feeling them, each flare, each pulse, each breath of fire that made up the sun's living skin. She could feel it now, like it was part of her, because it was. The Oralith Forge, the core mind hidden inside Earth's sun, had bonded with her fully. She wasn't just a commander anymore, she was the voice of a star. All systems ready, reported Bren. Solar reactor is stable, core link armor sealed, solar weapon channels aligned, ship evolution complete, Vora added. The Prometheus is now officially the first human Forge-class battleship. Its hull isn't just plated, it absorbs solar energy and converts it to shield bursts or beam lances. Lawson nodded once, and the enemy. Rain brought up the map. Zorkith warfleet detected on approach. Over 300 ships, hive cores, star mines, harvest engines. They're not taking chances this time. Lawson's eyes glowed faint gold. They shouldn't. The galaxy was watching. Alien observatories from neutral systems picked up the signal flares from Earth's sun. They had seen what happened to the last Zorkith fleet. They had watched the Forge awaken. And now, for the first time in centuries, they saw something they had never expected from humans, a counterattack. The Prometheus V, now fully evolved, launched from the upper solar layer like a comet. Behind it, the sun pulsed and rhythm each beat, sending data, power, and flame through invisible lines of connection. Setting course for the Erithus Rift, said Bryn. It's where they're forming up their main offensive line. Lawson stepped to the front of the bridge. We hit them first. Before they can deploy, the journey didn't take days. With a new solar drive, powered by mini-flares compressed into quantum slipstreams. The Prometheus jumped faster than light, skipping between solar waveforms, and when it arrived at the edge of the Erithus Rift they saw it, a Zorkith war swarm, not a fleet, a storm. Vast, dark, alive with hunger. Ships shaped like blades, towers of spinning plasma, harvesters already drawing from nearby stars. Vora stared at the data. Already cracked 2 red dwarfs. They're using the energy to build a warp core the size of a planet. Lawson looked on. They're trying to trigger a chain collapse. If they succeed, they'll black out this side of the spiral arm, wipe out hundreds of inhabited systems. Bren whispered, we're one ship. No, Lawson said, we're one sun. She opened the solar interface. Her mind synced with the forge, and the sun across 11 light-years answered. Solar energy surged across the quantum link. The Prometheus glowed like a newborn star. Lawson raised her hand. Fire lance. Now. The Prometheus V unleashed a solar beam, not from a weapon, but from its core. The beam was pure white. It stretched across space. It tore through the first wave of Zorkith ships like fire through paper. The blast left a glowing trail through the void miles wide. Enemy ships exploded, disintegrated, or veered off in terror. The Zorkith tried to adapt. They launched solar dampeners, harvest nets, but none of it worked, because the fire wasn't random. It was intelligent. It bent, curved, hunted. It moved like it had a purpose, and it did. Lawson was guiding it with her mind. The Zorkith commanders sent a signal of their own, not words, not threats, but a challenge. They released the Star Eater, fusion the size of a small moon, pulsing black with magnetic arms and gravity hooks. It fed on suns. It had destroyed 8 systems before, and now, it turned toward Earth's champion. Vora's screen went red. It's targeting us. Let it, Lawson said. The Prometheus charged forward. It didn't dodge. It dived right into the beast's core. Inside the starter, the heat levels dropped. It tried to crush the forge ship with black matter coils. It tried to drain power, but the ship's core glowed brighter. Lawson whispered to the fire inside her, and the forge answered. A flare erupted from inside the starter. Not outward, inward, like fire folding into itself. The beast screamed, its metal hull cracking, and then it imploded, crushed from within by the very sun it tried to consume. What was left of the Zorkith fleet broke formation. Some fled, some powered down entirely, and some simply stopped moving, as if they understood for the first time, there are things even they cannot burn. In distant systems, alien leaders watched the battle logs. One whispered, Earth spoke. Another answered, no, Earth's sun did. Lawson floated in the solar interface, the ship around her pulsing softly. We stopped them, Bren said, half in awe. Not yet, Lawson replied. One more icon blinked on the map, the Zorkith core world. Their true nest, the place they had ruled from for millennia. Rain stepped forward. You're not thinking, she turned. We finish it. The Prometheus began charging. The sun back home surged. The final flare was coming, not for defense, not for warning, but for justice. Lawson closed her eyes. She spoke not just to her crew, not to Earth, but to the galaxy. You watched them eat worlds, you watched them burn stars. You let them believe we were weak, that our sun was theirs. Now watch what happens. When the fire fights back, the forge ignited, the sun roared, and Earth, once quiet in the dark, became the first world in history to fire a star as a weapon.